This is an AVNation special. My name is Tom Albright. I am your host. Each year, Systems Contractor News puts together their list of Hall of Fame inductees. It is the SCN Hall of Fame. And what we're doing is we are going to interview each and every one of them, the lucky and very much deserving recipients of this year's, the class of 2020's Hall of Fame. With me today to talk about her induction is my buddy, Charmaine Torruella. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
Congratulations, first and foremost. I'm going to ask everybody this, and do you feel like you belong in a Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Do I feel like it? I don't know. That's the only thing I could say. Am I glad that I'm there? Absolutely.
See, I would argue everybody on this list, and you're the first recording that I'm doing, and so I'll say this probably every time I do these. Everybody on this list is deserving. I just don't know why in the heck I'm there. But you know, you've done an awful lot with diversity. You've done a lot in your career, and you have made you're one of those folks outside of anything you've done with diversity, outside of anything you've done with the Avixa Women's Council. Just flat out looking at you and your career from a technology standpoint, you came from IT, right? You came from telephony. So talk about, you know, that transition and you know, where you came from and how it's helped you, because as the industry has evolved, you have already been there, right? You were one of those folks that when we started putting things on the network, you're like, all right, I got this. I've been there, done that. This is how we do this. How'd that help you?
Well, it helped me a lot because when I came to AV, one thing I noticed that AV wasn't really savvy enough in knowing how to play with the IT side of the customer side, right? They didn't, when I came here, it's like, okay, that's not us, that's IT, that's network. Nope, that's not us, we're AV, that's like, and it was just a siloed type of thinking that, nope, that's not us, we toss it back to the customer. For me, I'm like, oh, okay, I came from the side. I know what they want and what they're looking for. Let me bridge the gap a little bit. It's okay. I know it's not AV, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to bridge the gap between the two sides so you can both talk better and speak better about what you want to do for the solution, and then have each one understand each other a little bit better, because that's how it's helped me. It helped me to do that in a lot of customer instances, as well as internally within my own establishments, you know, where I teach them as to how, you know, most of the decision makers were coming to AV from the IT side, and they weren't really that knowledgeable about AV. They just, you know, hired us as a vendor, execute the AV piece. They had some knowledge, but not a comprehensive one. And we had to help educate them more. So teaching a lot of people that I worked with in the different organizations of AV, how to better work with those types of decision makers that are predominantly IT people. And that's how it's really helped me. So I'm able to effectively communicate better, help my team communicate better with those decision makers, and help them really develop a better synergy, because I think that's what I found missing when I came to AV.
So let's kind of unpack the education part a little bit, because today, if you're talking to a 25-year-old tech, helping them understand the IT part, or helping them, you know, unpack hey, this is how this network works, is a vastly different conversation than talking to a 40-year-old tech 10 years ago. So
yes.
talk about that evolution, where 10 years ago, trying to convince someone who had been doing this for maybe 10 or 15 years that things are changing, kids, right? Things are changing, and this is how we do this. Is it easier now to kind of walk people through and maybe walk the younger techs through as it was maybe 10 years ago to somebody who was already set in their ways?
Yeah, it's easier for the younger techs. You know, for the younger techs, they're a lot more open to learning a little of everything, and not just specifically AV. You know, for them in their own personal lives, you know, network things that are more IT centric play into their lives all the time. As 10 years ago, where people were already set in their ways, most of the traditional AV guys were mainly audio guys. You know, there's a lot of audio guys, and it's, you know, things are done a certain way, and video wasn't much of, their purview back then. They were mainly audio focused. Video started coming into that world. They learned it, but now video's the piece of AV that kind of transformed a lot more rapidly than the audio piece. Now it's streaming, all those other things. And that's where the younger techs, they know that's how they live. They live with Netflix. They live with all of that, right? So they know, they get it, they understand it. And it's easier because of that. It's a generational ease. This generation has a better ease and comfort because it's already used to them already. So yeah.
Well, and not only that, but even 10 years ago, we had networked audio, and networked video was just getting started, but we already had CoverNet by then, right? We already had sending audio down the network, but it's been that evolution. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking with Charmaine Torruella, one of the members of the Hall of Fame for SCN for this year. I don't want to gloss over this, but I did want to, kind of look at your background first and walk us through into the AV part. You have done an awful lot with the Diversity Council, with AVIXA, and more than just the Diversity Council and more than just with AVIXA, but you've helped a lot of folks within the industry understand the need for diversity and the importance. And not for nothing, you are a young Black woman. So you've got a couple of different, minority, perspectives there when it comes to this industry. And, you and I both will use the phrase, audio guys in this industry, but it's not wrong, right? It's primarily guys. It's primarily guys. And it's quite frankly, it's primarily white guys. And so, but the industry is changing and the industry is evolving. Talk for a second about, the change that you have seen and over maybe the last 10 or 15 years and how we've gotten to where, at least those initial steps to make some of those changes.
In terms of diversity, the changes that I've seen in the last couple of years is on the client side mostly. So 10 years ago, the client side, it was mainly white males who made those technology decisions for their enterprise. But that changed from 2010 into 2015. I saw the where now I'm seeing a lot more women decision makers, Black, Latin, a lot of different diverse technology managers. And as that change started to happen, those technology managers started to look to the contractors and partners that had a piece of that diversity existing within their company. So that kind of, they would look and say, oh, I like this technician. I like that guy. So an AV vendor would consistently make sure that particular guy was on this technology manager's projects. And in a little by little, the more that particular minority tech became a value to that client, the more it helped him, or her catapult themselves within the AV organization. Now, if the AV organization did not recognize that, then the client soon would poach that person and take them onto the client side. That has happened a lot in the last 5 years now. So from 2015 to 2020, a lot of those technology managers have now been poaching those people because the truth is, as a technology manager, especially with more of an IT core of comprehension, they really wouldn't know how to recruit AV. The only place to get it is a company like an integrator that's already recruited, vetted, trained, certified, right? They did all the work already. So, I'll offer them this salary and, and these great benefits that my big Fortune 500 company has to offer. And they'll probably say yes. And most of the time they do. So that's causing, I think the integrators are now looking at that, especially with the older generation of AV guys that are now starting to retire and just, leave AV or just go to the client side. They too go to the client side after a while. They have all this wealth of experience and legacy experience, and they become VPs in the client organizations. So all that shift, right, is starting to cause the diversity to come in. And now, people who are leaving, retiring, or being poached is now causing the industry to look for, a new resources. And the only ones that are really open and hungry are mostly, not the only ones, but a lot for the most part are in the diversity area. They're hungry, they're open. They're now learning that AV has this void they can fill. And they didn't know that AV existed before because AV hasn't really told on itself enough to the world, right? To let the world
Yeah.
know it exists everywhere. And now they discovered it like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is what I always do. I like doing this stuff at home. I like doing this for parties. I like teaching. I like whatever it is. They knew that AV was a part of their life. Now they know they can make a living out of it, and a good one, and learn so much and do so many other things. Now they're gravitating towards this industry, but the work still has to continue in us telling on ourselves in AV. We have to talk about ourselves and not just be, the humble kid in the corner, knows how to do things, but we're not going to show everybody what we know. We got to show the world what we know, who we are, where we exist in this world. And the matter is, we exist everywhere. And, I talk to people all the time. What do you do, Charmaine? I do this. Well, what's that? When you sit in a restaurant, when you go to the subway and you see those big video walls, when you go to retail and you see those big moving touchscreen interfaces, when you go to Madison Square Garden, when you go to the booths and you hear all that sound and that wonderful stuff and the control that stops and turns things on, right? You have that in your house. Yeah, then house. That's AV too. So it's teaching the world more and more that we are very prevalent in the society. We're not going anywhere. But that there is room for us to stand on stage next to IT.
Absolutely, and I think that so one of our long contributors here, Richie Vergoza, used to joke that he would tell his mom that he's a VCR repairman, and yeah, in 30 years ago that was funny, but now you're right. We are everywhere, and we are able to help folks, regardless of whether it's at home or in the office. Um, Talk for a second about your work in the Diversity Council and what you guys have been able to do as a group, but also you individually to help, not just get the word out there, but also help connect folks and get some representation in various areas.
Yeah, well, for the last 2 years, we've done a lot of work in, outreaching not only to the individual members of the council, it had to start with that. So when we get members, the outreach individually to members, a lot of people join a lot of things, not truly understanding what's available to them when they join, an organization. So for me, individually, my work was mostly getting each member to understand the possibility of what we can do as a diversity council, right? To understand, our mission, the kind of diversity we represent. They are part of that diversity and they can get a stake in representing that too on a bigger stage and doing some work and also helping them think through what kind of value they can bring to the council and to the industry as a diverse worker. And so that was most of the work that I individually myself did. After that piece was done, then people came together and said, yeah, well, this is my value. And they talked to each other and this is my value. And let's do this together. Oh, I'm in agreement. Let's tweak it this way. Okay. And they actually started collaborating in such a seamless manner after that. It kind of started taking a life on its own. So it's easy to get things done in our council because we're not fighting as much. We're just trying to figure out our common denominators between each other and how we could pull it together to do and execute maybe this one task. And that's kind of how it comes together. But the first part is making sure that everyone that joins the council understands their value, because the hardest part in this industry is a lot of people that I've spoken to don't think they have a value in this industry at all. I
Mm.
get, have that conversation. Well, I don't know. And I've spoken to this organization and they've ignored me. And someone thought I was crazy. I said this on LinkedIn. I got all these comments, right? Every time they spoke on it, they got shot down. Where I came around and I said, no, I understand it. It is viable. And there is a way to work this into a solution, an event, an activity to make it even more so. Yes, the programming webinar we did, I was very proud of that webinar because of the diverse participation. Thank you again for moderating that. You were wonderful. And it was just what I wanted, what I envisioned, diversity to be, a mosaic of different people working together to get something accomplished and achieved. So yeah, that's how we work in the Diversity Council. The things we've done, we've gotten 30 students already hired into
Oh,
AV.
wow.
Yeah, 30, and working with schools like Lincoln Tech, the Loop Lab, and other, technical schools. So that was great. We've gotten some great education workshop initiatives for other students that are still going through it. We got a Mosaic Scholarship that we did give to one of the students in Lincoln Tech, Esmeralda Monroy, who could now pay for the rest of her tuition and finish up and get her certification and actually get a job this year. So things like that, that was great. We've helped certain people who didn't understand why diversity was important, understand the importance now in some organizations. So now there are a lot of organizations, vendors, manufacturers who are now launching their own diversity initiatives and programs internally because of a lot of the work, the communication, the outreach, the events that we did, which is excellent. And it's just doing everything, the council is doing everything that it should be, which is continuing to communicate, to outreach, to show the value, the importance, and to help, those people along. And what I'm especially proud of is the people who have done the events, the activities. They have gotten elevation in their careers from it. Some have gotten promotions from it. Some have gotten hey, you want to do this for our company? Yes. That's my happiest thing, to know that it's helped them in their individual careers, whatever that may be, to get to a better place and, a higher place than where they were before. So that's, I think, most especially what I'm happiest about. Yeah, it just gives me happiness to see like people just, finding that strength and, just growing on it and being happy about it, because a lot of them just, they love AV. Like I love
Yeah.
AV. They love AV. They don't want to leave. We don't want to leave. We just needed
You
a
can't leave. It is just the stickiest industry in the world.
It
Um,
absolutely is. And we don't want to leave. We don't want
no,
to be we don't want to be another cog in a wheel. That's why I left IT. I was like the Borg. I was assimilating, right? I didn't,
God love you. Oh man. Anytime you get a Star Trek reference in there, that's always a good thing.
I love
Um,
Star Trek.
so I want to ask you one final question as we kind of wrap up here, and it's something you mentioned earlier, and that's talking about folks going from one organization to another and that legacy of experience. As we get older, and I mentioned the fact that I am closer to 50 than 40. Let's just put it that way.
Me too. You
And
said I was young, so thank you for that.
well, you at least you look like younger than me, and we're gonna say that you're younger than me. And if anybody asks me under oath, I'm gonna say you're younger than me. So, um, but it's one of those things where yeah, you know what? There are folks that, even outside of a normal year, right? And COVID's been pretty hellacious for folks in general, but there are folks that either are retiring or they're going to other organizations. How do we that are still in AV and are getting, maturing, I think is somebody said the other day. Although I will take issue with that, but it has nothing to do with age. Um, how do we make sure that what we've learned is passed along? And how do we make sure that our cohorts, right, who may not be as keen on passing on their information and their knowledge, because it's hard fought, it's hard won knowledge, and the younger, sometimes the attitude is the younger folks should learn these hard knock lessons themselves, right? Well, that's not
Yeah.
exactly true. You pass along what you learn, pass along what you know, so the next generation can be better, because so they can stand on our shoulders just like we stood on the shoulders of the ones before us. So how do we get that, and how do we transfer that knowledge?
Well, part of it is you have to incentivize those older people in order to do it. That's a good part of it.
Yeah.
Incentive doesn't mean monetary necessarily. It could mean more authority. It could mean, a path of progression in their responsibilities within your organization. A lot of AV vendors will say, "Oh, I love that. He's a great old guy. He's been around forever. He knows so much." Okay, how do you recognize that? How do you
Yeah.
show him you recognize or her that? How do you show them that? You're not showing, you're saying it. Saying it is not enough anymore. You have to do something, whether it's a title and more responsibility, give them a place where they have more visibility. They need that. They need that acclaim to in order to feel that their contribution, that's like you said, hard earned. Yeah, I broke my back. We figured it out. I spoke to a lot of people like that. I figured out the secret sauce,
Yeah.
and I'm not spilling that and sharing it. Well, I'm going to give you an incentive to, you could trademark it, but as long as I get some of the rights to it, so I can use it in my recipe, in my restaurant. Can I use some of your special sauce, please? If I give you this and give you that, okay. And they will share that. And I think that's where AV organizations, they don't think about it enough. They always think it's, oh, I have to give them more money. No, you just have to give them a value, a claim, incentive, something that rewards them for all the backbreaking work they did to figure out this knowledge. Sometimes, and as a sales rep, and I say this, and I know sales reps are going to look at me really strange. Sometimes it's giving away some piece. Can a person get a piece? One company, I asked if a particular person can get a slither of my commission for everything I got in with this one particular client, because that person was the client that they liked, the engineer, they loved him, great, newest stuff. And I said, well, why can't he get a slither of my engineer? I'm getting so much, business and doing so much work. Can I give him a slice, a percentage? That kind of incentive. It doesn't just come from the management of the company. It also comes from the individual contributors of the company to think that way, find a way, the company together to incentivize those older people who have broken the code, who you rely on foundationally, to execute these solutions. Give them something, an incentive. Sit down, talk to them, figure out what that is, what they need, what they're looking for, but do it. And that's one way they'll be more than happy to pass this down to the next generation, tie their name to it, give them the recognition. This is, Jim's, solution plan. We call it this because of him, named after him. Find a way to incentivize that. There's no reason why you can't do it. And there's no reason why you shouldn't. They deserve it. They did so many years. I'll mention Steven Seidenfrau. Many people knew him at AVICPO. When I came into AV 10 years ago, he was one of my mentors. There's so much information, and he has passed away now. And he was such a good person that he passed a lot of that to me. That's how I got into, up to speed on AV so quickly, coming from IT, because of people like Steven Seidenfrau. And what I did is I looked out for Steve as much as I could. Hey, Steve, here, let's do this, let's do that. Whatever you can do, give them something, incentivize them, because he had such a wealth of knowledge. He worked for such organizations and did so many different things. And he needed to know that that's who he was. He did such, you need to let them know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about money. It's a lot of things. You have to ascribe value to people. And that's, the thing that AV has to do more of, find a way to do it. There's so many creative ways to do it. It's undeniable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a good place to stop. But thank you so much, Charmaine Torruella. Thank you. And again, congratulations on making the SCN Hall of Fame.
And congratulations to you too. Well, I don't know why you think you don't belong there, but
I'm just a guy that asks dumb questions. So
no, you're far from that. I'm so happy that you've made it also. Thank you.
I'm happy I made it in with you. How about that?
Yay. Me
Yeah.
too.
How do people get a hold of you or Varix or learn more about the Diversity Council?
More about the Diversity Council, just Google Avixa Diversity Council and the page link will come automatically up. And click on that and you'll see everything we've done, what we're about, and you can even sign up if you want. For me, you can type in my name, Charmaine Torruella, on LinkedIn or Twitter, and you will find my profile. Smiling with a very nicely finished photo. And reach out to me anytime you want. I paid a lot of money for that photo. It was a good investment. And yeah, I'll be happy. I respond to everyone. So I'm happy to speak with people anytime.
She very much is. She's helped me an awful lot. So, all right. Thank you so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Find programs like this and a host of others, including our 2 weekly programs. One's called AV Week, looks at the commercial side of the AV industry, and one is Resi Week, looks at the residential side. So all that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This is all the time we have for this AVNation special.